been threatened with keeping the time. Leave me alone. All right. It's very interesting to, I mean, especially with the conversations that we've been having lately, talking about collaborations and reaching out and reaching different, connecting with each other. That's the best way of saying it. This presentation was actually, yeah, this presentation was actually done in collaboration with my friend, mentor, boss, Verly Poupé. It's only awkward when you mess up at work. And it's really going to be about our current exhibition, the Jamaica Biennial 2017. I'm going to give you just a little bit of history, and I mean a little bit. The exhibition itself has evolved, and in that evolution and its history, that's all been about a series of negotiations with our particular space in Jamaica, the expectations, the assertions, the developments, and essentially it started in 1938 as a private initiative, which was called the All Jamaica Art Exhibition at St. George's Hall. And in 1940, our parent organization, the Institute of Jamaica, began having an annual all-island exhibition. And they also had what was called a self-taught artist exhibition, which was also held from the 1960s onward. Now, the National Gallery, as we know it, came into being in 1974 and took over those exhibitions and consolidated them into the annual national exhibition. Now, that exhibition, don't worry, it's going to be lots of nice pictures in a second. That exhibition actually became a biennial in 2002. And that actually happened because it was felt that, you know, we were kind of forcing the artists to kind of grind out works every year. And, you know, you kind of have to give people more time to kind of reflect and produce something of substance. And that went on for some time, and there was in like 2000 and, well, we have particular incentives, sorry. You see that what happened when you're making me rush? We have incentives that are offered to artists. The Aaron Matalan Award, which is offered to the artist who has presented the best work in the exhibition, which is open to everyone in the exhibition. And also, most recently, we have, it's a private award, the Don Scott Memorial Award. Don Scott was one of our pivotal artists who was just an amazing woman in terms of installation, architecture, batik art. She was phenomenal in those terms. So it was actually instituted by one of her dear friends, Edward Gomez, which has been now given to the emerging artists in the exhibition. So that had its first incarnation in our last biennial, and now we had it again this biennial. The exhibition itself, which was rebranded in 2014 as the Jamaica Biennial. And that was in an effort to kind of refocus or more accurately expand our scope and expand what we're trying to do. Because for those of you, well, most of you, some of you may not be aware, the exhibition had always had a particular focus on Jamaican art, and it was very specific about the identity of the artist. But it had been evolving over time to be, at first it was Jamaican artists, then it was Jamaican artists and non-Jamaican artists resident in Jamaica, and then it became artists of Jamaican artists within the diaspora, to include Jamaican artists in the diaspora, then people of Jamaican heritage. So we've been kind of broadening the scope every year, every 2 years essentially, and that has been part of a goal to more internationalize the exhibition. In the last biennial, which was the 2014, I'll explain why the last one was 2014, this is 2017 in a second. The last biennial, one of the decisions that was made by the team was by the team, was really to help to reach out to our Caribbean partners. And we had a select number of international artists who were specially invited. Now, of course, one of those artists, Blue Curry, who's here, was in our last, was in our was in the last biennial. And what we've also, well, let me tell you, everybody, Blue Curry, James Cooper, Renee Cox, Gilles de Kozak, Richard Mark Rawlins, Sheena Rose. So in that you see that we've been reaching out to the Bahamas, who collaborated very nicely with us on that project. Thank you very much. Bermuda, well, America, Trinidad, Barbados, and Martinique. So, no, yeah, man. Okay, so I'm going really, really fast now. So the thing that has also changed, we've maintained that this time around, that model, and we have artists Andrea Chung, David Gums, who was at the last Tilting Axis, Nadia Huggins, Jodeline Kichow, Raquel Payawansky, whose wonderful work you just saw, and Marcel Pinas. Now, the thing we also decided to include, well, this is just giving you some general information. We also decided to include 2 tribute exhibitions in this current biennial. One of the artists, Alexander Cooper, whose work you're going to see, and Peter Dean Rickards, 2 artists who made critical inroads in the development of Jamaican art, but 2 very, very different and contrasting artists, because what we're trying to do is to show that there is always going to be a dialogue between the contemporary and the more traditional, the avant-garde, the daring, the provocative, because there's always this kind of trend to really look on one or the other and never, well, I shouldn't say, well, yeah, it is a little bit of a trend, and not look on the dialogues that have been created and the fact that one had to predate the other for the other to exist. This is Jodeline Kichow, 8 Years to Freedom, performative and installation work. The work that we got from Raquel Payawansky. We wanted the one with the blocks, but shipping was not going to happen. Nadia Huggins, is that a boy? Well, this is a detail from the full installation. It's part of the video. Andrea Chung Pure. Those are actually soap hands, and the hands are they're made from casts of midwives' hands in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And it's an interactive piece. Marcel Pinas. David Gums' interactive piece, which is at National Gallery West. And I should point out that the biennial last incarnation, 2014, had 4 real sites. National Gallery of Jamaica, the main site, National Gallery West, which you're seeing right here in Montego Bay, Devon House, which used to be our home before we had to move, which is where this work is, actually, and also the streets of downtown Kingston, which is where Blues Intervention took place. And it was phenomenally received. We only had the 3 locations this year. This is the work of Peter Dean Rickards, Cowhead Man, Alexander Cooper, so you can see the contrast between the 2. Laura Face's Sabre, which challenged us greatly with getting it into the building because it's allegedly the longest. We had to get 34 members of the army to move this into the gallery and take out all the walls and windows and everything at the front. 2 minutes? Okay, going. Jasmine Thomas Gervan, a work which is installed at Devon House. And the works that are at Devon House were especially chosen to interact with the history of the house. We can talk about the history of the house later. Marlon James, Kay Kalfani Ra, Brian McFarlane, and it's hard to kind of really look on these because the scale is totally lost in these, because this is like the size of this wall. Julianne McMillan, Samir Tansley, Greg Bailey, Venice Black, DeAndre Caprice Davis, Leisha Johnson. This work is also at Devon House. Kimani Beckford, Cosmo White, Shoshana Weinberger, Deborah Anzinger, hi, Simon Benjamin, Barrett Macaulay, Nathan Cunningham, Kelly Ann Lindo. And of course, this came from an incarnation that was also at Alice Yard as well. So yes, yeah, I did it really fast. But one thing I want to point out is that in terms of these works, the difference between the self-taught, the exhibition itself is open to all artists. It had varying tiers within it in terms of the fact that we have, because of its evolution, it's evolved in a very interesting, awkward way in that we have we have a juried section, which a lot of the works go through, including installations. We also have a invited artist list, which came out of previous incarnations, which we've had to maintain because even though we seek to evolve and we seek to advance it, we're all working within particular cultural and social context. And you have to have the buy-in of your context in order to advance and move in particular directions. So certain things which may or may not be popular, we've had to work with. Let's just be honest. So the thing is, right now, the exhibition has all of these different stages, and it's actually, because of all the invited artists, the juried artists, the special tributes, the multiple locations, the specially invited international projects, it has been growing and growing in size, and it's actually the largest exhibition of this type that we've had to do so far, which has been a challenge, has been gratifying to actually be able to make it work because we have a very dedicated team. And of course, we have very good leadership at our organization, and everybody, as we all know, you're working with limited resources. And I know my question before was about constraints, but we all know the different spaces that we have to work in. But one thing that we've been trying to do and pushing, and one thing that has been one of the main, mandates that Verily has set in terms of the exhibition, is that we're trying to increase the visibility of the space, but also to continue creating all these collaborations. This conference in itself is about meeting with different minds, with different people, different spaces, and seeing how those collaborations can grow. And the eventual goal would be to have a biennial that incorporates our different spaces: Cayman Islands, Bahamas, Trinidad, Barbados, and so forth. So really, I have any time left? My time in terms of speaking about this exhibition, I'm just running back so you get that, not quite the fleeting view, that we had, is that we're seeking to grow, create partnerships with our biennial. We know that we all have challenges to meet, but at the end of the day, we hope to create a wider and more inclusive space. All right, thank you.